Hey, Terry, you got something for us?
Yeah, I don't know if it's got any interest to anybody but me, so I'll make it quick in case we just need to move on. But I have retired because I'm an old dog, but now I'm re-entiring, and I'm going to do my business um, virtual by Zoom and DocuSign. I'm going to stick with the California market, even though I'm in Arizona, and I'm going to narrow down to probate. And I've got some extraordinary ideas, one of which I'm the only agent in my company. I was looking at like Krista Mayshore and a couple others that I was watching, and I realized, oh my goodness, they did 20 years what I thought was the wrong way to do it, which is to be a solo agent with helpers. And that's my new program. I'm going to do what I've done, only better. And I'm going to use virtual systems, and I'm going to use showing agents, and I'm going to use everything except a negotiator and a signer upper for listings, which is going to be, by Zoom. And if I get half as many, I get half as many, but that's what I'm going to do. And I would certainly love anybody's input on what I could do to overcome the pushback. Well, where are you? How come you're not in my house? Well, come and sit at my kitchen table. No, the point is, you don't need me to be a gopher. I am a master negotiator, certified master negotiator, 45 years of experience, and I've done some interesting deals, and that's where you need me. And that's why I've got all these other people to show property, to do a video of your property so that I can properly list it without having shown up there beforehand. So is there anybody that that's doing it, and any ideas on how to start? Because I'm really starting kind of from scratch. But I have decided only probate, only sellers, and online bid off at the end of it. I mean, I've got some interesting ideas that I'm going to incorporate that, in fact, there's people in EXP that are doing that. In one of the uplines I'm familiar with, they have an auction, and mine is not really an auction. Mine is a bid off where it's really locked down right then and there with a counter offer and offer on DocuSign. So I realize that that's like a wide ocean question, but if you have just one idea, I would certainly appreciate it.
Harry, that's fantastic. Thank you for presenting us with this idea. So again, you want to run a virtual business from your state into another state, and you're trying to figure out how to run all the pieces and get people to convince that.
And I've already got Showami, who does they'll for $40 to throw, they'll do the showing. So that's already handled. That was my major one. Oh my goodness, what do I do without sharing the commission for lockbox and showing the property and so on and so forth? He'll also do the video of the place. So I've got an idea how to do it. I just need to overcome the 100-year-old. Well, I mean, if you're a real estate agent, you got to come over here, man. Yeah.
Well, let's open it up, Terry. Let's ask the group first. I got some thoughts too, but let's open up to the group because this is an interesting concept. Anybody on the call have any ideas for Terry on running his virtual operation from Arizona into California, and how he's trying to set it up and so forth? You just heard what he said. If you've got any thoughts, go ahead and unmute yourself and let's hear what you think Terry should be doing. All right, Terry's a little shy there. That's okay. And by the way, if you think of any thoughts as we're going along, be sure to unmute yourself. In the meantime, Terry, I'm going to give you a couple ideas that I can think of. And let's go ahead and walk through a couple of my initial thoughts. First of all, I like the idea that you are narrowing down into the niche of probate. Whenever you narrow the niche, you gain expertise. And you can gain expertise status by nothing other than just saying, hey, I'm the probate expert, right? I'm the probate king or queen. I know this niche really well. That's number one.
By the way, I have a certification, certified probate expert. So I've actually got 2 certifications, but that's the one that would make sense to most people.
I love it. So yeah, so you even have the education, a couple initials to throw behind your name to make people feel comfortable with what you're doing. So that's the first idea, by the way, whether you're doing it virtually or locally, anytime you can niche down into one market, I'm telling you, you're going to have the most success. And by the way, that's why I do these calls, because I think you should be niching down into your PCSOI, because I think that's actually a niche that people don't recognize and work as hard as they should. But let's keep going. So we've got this idea of probate. In fact, Terry, before I move on into your idea, let me ask this. Did you work in the California market so that you have people there locally that you could be marketing to?
No, not really. I mean, well, yes, I did. And I'm going to limit my market to South Orange County, which I know well, having lived there for a number of years. But most of my business was discount, unfortunately, for buyers. So I don't, and the one buyer, when things got tense in the market, he said, I can't get any more deals by going through you. I've got to go direct to the listing agent. And in 1 year, my income dropped, in 1 quarter, my income dropped like $140,000 for the quarter of things that I'd had lined up that didn't fly.
Right.
And that's part of the reason for the move out of California to a lesser costly area. So I do not have a robust group of people that I've kept in touch with for selling. And in any case, most of them wouldn't be probate either.
Right.
But I do have a source of probate leads, which is, there's a couple of probate companies that sell leads.
Sure.
And that's how I got my last deal, was just tenaciously keeping up. But I've got to overcome the absency factor.
I'm going to come back to that, Terry. I just wanted to take a little tiny tangent to remind people that you got this sphere of influence and to see if you had one there that you could tap into, because it's always the most valuable. And you said you've helped a lot of people there buy. And so to me, that tells me you've got a listing pool of people that may be selling over the next year or two. So just keep that on the back burner as an option. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I do know people who are doing remote businesses from not only from another state. I know a gal that's doing it from another country. She's in Europe and she's selling into Canada, right? She worked the Canadian market, then she had to go back to Europe to take care of her mom and an illness. And it's been a long time, like over a year. And she has been running her business remotely as a solo agent. She's been running this business, and she's had to kind of go through what you're going through. How do I get feet on the ground? How do I get people to help me with signs and lock boxes and showings and things like that? And she's been able to work through that and overcome it for the most part. And she's just like you, though, trying to figure out how can I expand this. Let me tell you that the way that she was able to start getting some traction was, you have to go through the hard part of getting one person to say yes. And then once you get them closed, you're going to document that situation, hopefully through video. And what you're going to do then is use them as a testimonial, right? And if you do that, be sure to get the video through the process, not just at the end when they go, yeah, this is amazing. Have it right all the way from the beginning of, and have them be honest. I'm kind of nervous about hiring Terry. He's kind of long distance. Have them go direct at the problem. Terry's out of state, and I didn't know if this was going to work, but I like Terry, and I thought I'd give him a shot, and we'll see how it goes, right? And so that's kind of like the beginning video, and hopefully you're going to walk them through in the end video, like, Terry's amazing. He got this thing done for us. I couldn't believe it. I was so concerned, right?
That is pure gold. Pure, absolute, 100% gold. It really never occurred to me to do a process of videos of the process so that I could present the whole presentation. That is amazing. I love it.
Get a YouTube channel and name your idea something, right? Probates in Southern Orange County, right?
By the way, the name of my company is Estate Defender. Because another aspect is I am turned off by agents who walk in they don't really know if they're an agent or a buyer until they figure out how good a deal they can get out of the seller. I never buy, and I never represent buyer and seller, which, is a problem for EXP because there's only one broker in the entire state of California. So 2 EXP agents are double agents. And that's one of the reasons I didn't make the leap to EXP. No, nothing against EXP, but I just didn't know how to handle it, without being a double agent. But
Sure.
Now I do. And I have what I call a home buyer cashback that I'm willing to give back the buyer side of the commission minus 1%. 1% goes to the buyer to encourage them, and the rest goes back to my seller. So I can, promote a low commission too.
Right. You're going back to your discount days, right? Because you mentioned that in the early stage. I just want to challenge you, by the way. There's nothing wrong with discounting, in my opinion. You set up the model any way you want, whatever is advantageous. So let me get that out there first. My challenge for you is, how can you become a premium model? Because once you start discounting, it really erodes your profit margins quickly. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Try to figure out how to be the premium model.
Keep going. I'm piling in the gold here. So what would you do that would justify keeping the whole commission, for example, or even charging a premium?
How about doing a fantastic job? How about doing something other people can't do? How about making it so amazing of an experience that people are like, holy crap, Terry is the best. See, that's why we're going back to those testimonials in the video. So let's play that idea out for a second, okay, Terry? So, because I know you're a brilliant guy. I know you're really smart. I'm really happy you're here to chat with. So this is cool. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Just spitball this idea a little bit more, which is create a YouTube channel. And you called it Probate Defenders or Estate Defenders?
Estate Defender.
Yeah, I love it. And so you can even name your YouTube channel that, or even more specifically, by the way, Estate Defender in Southern, what was the county? I'm sorry, Orange County, California. Be real unique and specific, because you want to pull people in from that area on your videos. You're going to send people to those videos. You're going to use
because I really hadn't thought about that, but a lot of sellers are not there. A lot of
and they may be typing into Google, which is typing into YouTube, right? When you search Google, you search YouTube. And so that's why you want to have that city, state, and or county, maybe city, state, and county in your title and definitely in the description of the YouTube channel. And that's going to help people find you out there. Let's keep talking about what would be on this channel, though. I don't want to lose these little fish, these ideas I got in my head I want to get out to you. So one is, you just did a great introduction of why they should hire you, right? That should be the introduction video you have. You say, I'm not one of these goofballs, sleazy guys who comes in there and is going to try to take your equity from you. I don't even buy property, right? You just have that as part of your intro video. Then part of your series is going to be that documentation of a happy client, right? From their initial, you always got to start with the initial problem. They didn't think, they were worried I was far away. I was worried I didn't know if Terry could handle this, but I wanted to take a chance on him. I rolled the dice, and then you walk them through the process. Oh yeah, Terry came by the house today and he showed me, excuse me, he didn't come by the house. Terry got on a video call with us today, and he explained to us how his person had come by and shown, and he had video and pictures, and he described all these things we can do, and he had this great market analysis to describe the value, and we came up with a great price, right? So you can talk about that. I mean, whatever your process is, you're just documenting as you go. You can do it through Zoom. Zoom is free to everybody, and you can also get a paid account, which is super cheap. But the nice thing about Zoom is you can hit the record button like I'm doing right now on here. I think I hit it's recording right now. So yeah, just make sure you hit that record button, and you can get the raw video, and you can edit it down to whatever you want. I recommend you do the videos, big videos for each section, highlighted, one part at a time. You can have them sequenced in the title, like this is part 1, this is part 2, this is part 3, this is part 4 of this story. And then what you want to do by the end is you're going to then edit it down into as short of a clip as you can that tells the whole story. So that's going to be maybe a 3, 5, 7, 10 minute, whatever it takes to tell the story, but you're going to edit it down. So the original video, it was 30 minutes, boom, it's going to be shrunk down to 1 minute or 2 minutes. And then they're all pieced together where somebody can watch chronologically what happened. If you do that, just make sure you start with the great end at the beginning. You know, this super happy client say, well, let me tell you how this happened. Here's the story. And and you get them to the end. And the end has got to have a call to action on all this stuff, because remember, it's going out on these videos where you're going to be people coming in looking on YouTube. You're going to be sending people to these videos through your marketing means or through your promotion. So it's got to have that call to action at the end of, hey, call Terry and a state defender. Right, if Terry the estate, I keep trying to remember it's plural or singular, defender or defenders. Defender. Call Terry Hunter, the estate defender, right? And boom, here's the phone number, or email me, here's the email, or hit the link down below and get on my schedule to have a Zoom call. Okay, that might be a great way for you to go, especially since you're long distance. Or you can do that through a lot of Calendarly is one. I use one called Schedule Once. Schedule Once, pretty cool. They'll set it up where they pick a time and it auto populates into your calendar and it sets up the Zoom meeting, and it's all pretty cool.
By the way, I've got another asset I realized, and that's Curbio. Now, Curbio is a little pricey, but we've got licensed people doing everything from clean out to repairs to staging to whatever. In other words, there's nothing missing from my offering, even though I'm not personally, physically there.
Cool. I love it. And we're going to come back to that. But remember, if people see someone else walking through the system with you remotely and getting the result that they want, they'll be like, oh, Bob just did that. I'm like Bob. I can do it too, right? Or Sally just did that. She just hired Terry. I can do it just like Sally did. Boom, right? And so when you're doing it, remember to get deep into the weeds of Bob and Sally's story. You got to go deep into that story of, so this is probate. You know, my aunt died, my mama died, my cousin died, whatever the problem was that it got them to this point. You've got to really ask them to dive into that and tell the backstory of why they are now in front of you and trying to get some help, right? So do not be shy about opening up on their problem to expose it, because that's what the other people who are listening are going to want to see. They're going to want to understand what this challenge was and is it like mine, right? That's what they're asking. Okay. Is that challenge like mine? Oh my gosh, it is. Oh my gosh, Terry can help me. So you won't just have one story. Eventually you'll have 5, 10, 20, 50, as many as you can get, because it's just confirmation over and over and over again that Terry can get the job done. And if you do that well enough, I'm going to circle back around. You don't need the discount. Quite the opposite. You're going to be able to charge a premium. And so now you don't have to sell one home. You don't have to sell 3 homes to make X. You can sell 1. You're going to be able to charge a full commission or a commission plus or a commission plus fees, because you're going to show the value of achieving whatever the result was that they wanted. Does that help?
Yes. And that was my initial thing. And my sister talked me out of it. You know, you got to do it for 4% or 3%. And I said, no, I'm not going to discount it. I'd rather do fewer deals for more each.
Sure. And maybe when the market was hot, you could justify something like that. But look, the market's slowing down. This is the perfect time to take the premium position. While all these people are going to, and I hate to say it, but a lot of competition is going to fall out of the market. And they either fell out mentally and they stopped working, or they're going to fall out where they let their license expire or go on ice. You need to be taking an active role and a premium position. Let everybody catch up with you in your model. Okay?
Yeah. And by the way, I've got, that buyer that I said that finally said, the market's so hot, I have got to go direct to the seller.
Yeah.
And then he had house I was selling with a broken foundation. He got pissed off at me because I wouldn't cover it. I said, no, we're going to make sure everybody knows. And so I guess my point is that even though I don't have the group, I can build it like you're saying. I just got to get that first one. What about a joint venture? Would that be totally out of question?
Let's go back.
I would like to do a movie, and the movie is going to be me getting you absolute top dollar for the home that you've got to sell for the probate. And if you will play along with me, because I'm just getting rolling in this, even though I've got a master's in economics, even though I'm in Mensa, even though I've got an undergraduate degree from Cornell and all this stuff.
That needs to be in your story, by the way, all that stuff. Go ahead.
Really? That's not pushing?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
All right. I would
Cornell, Mensa, master's in economics. See, this is for the geeks. That's for the people who need the justification to hire you.
Well, and the people I'm looking for are educated people that I got some bucks. I'm not looking for I really didn't say the whole story. Not only going to narrow it down to probate, I'm going to narrow it down further to the degree it's possible to probate who have money. In other words, I don't want less than $1 million house, and which is pretty normal.
You just target it that way. Sure. You just market to those folks.
Yeah. So how would you convince an attorney? How would you convince a doctor? How would you convince?
Same as you convince any other
business?
Person. Same as you convince any other person. These people are all human. I know I'm going to go on a crazy tangent, but I just want, when they go to some of this is a crazy tangent. I hope I don't offend anybody, but they did stories on like the Middle East, and they'd say, hey, there's some radical people there. They were blowing up stuff and blah, blah, blah. And when they did this research, they found out a lot of them were highly educated. They were lawyers and doctors and attorneys. And they were like, how are these people blowing up other people? Because of the emotional side. That's my point of that. The emotional side. People, human beings have this emotional side that can get caught up in things, right? And that's how we buy things, is emotionally, and then we justify with logic. So what I'm saying is, I don't care if they have a high degree or no education at all. They're all going to have this emotional connection, and then they're going to justify with logic. Okay, so don't freak out just because they have a couple of initials before or after their name, right? What matters is the emotional connection. Did you connect with them to show them that you can help them get what they want, their goal, the greed, or whatever their desire was that they wanted to achieve, that emotional side, and then they'll justify it with logic. That's why I said you throw out your credentials, but that's only for the second part, which is the emotional support. That way they can turn to their friend and go, oh yeah, I hired Terry because, he's an economics guy. No, they didn't hire you because of that. They hired you because they saw the story and they saw the videos go across, and they're like, yeah, this guy knows how to get what I want, that emotional connection. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to one of your original questions, which was, how do I work remotely, right? How do I tell these people that I'm from another state and that I'm going to help them locally without showing up in their home? First of all, people figured out how to do that in COVID, right? People were listing homes remotely by video all the time because we had to. There was no other option. So people were just doing it. Now, prior to COVID, for at least the last decade, I've been talking to agents who have been taking listings over the phone and by Zoom. That's been going on a long time, or way before COVID happened. They did it because they just want to speed up their business. They want to get rid of the travel time between going out to.
There's a flip on that too, and it saves time for the seller.
Yes. They were also having sellers come into their office. They never saw the property. They would do things where I don't need to see the property. You're hiring me for my credentials. I'm going to send out an appraiser to assess the value of your property for you. That's another way to do it.
By the way, that was something that I had in mind, that not only don't I double in, not only do I never buy, but we start out with what I call nail the sale. which is an inspection. And I've done that for decades.
Yeah,
And the buyer buys off on the inspection. And then number two, and this was my add-on that I kind of backed off, but listen to you, maybe I shouldn't have. And that is, let's hire a professional appraiser because the market is in turmoil. And rather than you depending on me, whom you don't know, let's get somebody who's got the credentials, and then we can decide what to do with that information. We're, I mean, not locked in, but we got it. And I'd be willing to pay for an appraisal, frankly.
Terry, have you ever heard of Bob
if I
Bolin?
thought that that would help.
I'm sorry, have you ever heard of Bob Bolin?
Bob?
Bob Bolin, Bohlen, Bolin in the Midwest.
No.
Bob Bolin. Bob Bolin was one of the pinnacle agents of all time. This guy sold something like 10,000 properties in his career, and he didn't even start till he was 50 years old. Okay, it was a second career. And the way he would list and sell, I don't know. I'm trying to remember the numbers. I'll probably get them wrong, but I think it was 500 properties a year at his peak. I mean, he was phenomenal. He did it mainly through cold calling, by the way, and pick up the phone and call in his sphere. But he was trying to figure out, how do I make these things go quickly? By the way, he did residential and commercial and big giant deals and little deals. He did all kinds of deals, and he followed this formula. Ready? He did pre-inspections, P-R-E, pre-inspections. He did pre-appraisals and pre-title work. That was part of his listing package. And that was his sell to the seller. Look, I'm not even going to look at your property. I don't have a clue what it's worth. I'm going to send out an appraiser to do a pre-appraisal. We're going to do this. I'm not an inspector. I don't know what a termite looks like. We're going to send out an inspector to do a pre-inspection of your property and have this thing pre-inspected. And by the way, other agents would then call that a certified home. He didn't do that, but other agents would. And then
I call it a certified pre-owned. I call it a certified pre-owned home too.
Exactly. And then the title work as well. And of course, he's really checking to make sure that there's no surprises, because that was in a slower market, just like we're going in now. And he wanted to make sure that there weren't 300 mortgages on the property or some weird thing. So say, hey, we're going to get this title report done. He would get the listing sign all blank with no price, right? As an example, because he didn't know what the price was. He would say, hey, this is going to be determined later by an appraiser. Okay. So there are ways to do this.
Wow, that is,
and it's been done, and been done on a big level.
You've just wrung the fear out of me. I mean, I had these ideas, and I said, "Oh shit, that'll never work. I'm such a minor player, and all the rest of this." But I mean, it really, really helps me wonderfully to know that, no, there's people who've done that. You're not the first to ever think of that, Dumbo. And if they can do it, you can probably do it too. Even if I stumble at the beginning, my costs are way, way down for living expenses because I'm not in Southern Cal anymore at $3,000 a month for rent and that sort of thing. Wow, that is just mind blowing, because I already do pre-inspection. I already do pre-title. I already do. The one thing I don't do is I don't do pre-appraisal. That was the one.
And pre-appraisal. And you turn it into a selling opportunity. See, that's the reason the top agents
say that again.
You turn it into a selling opportunity.
Okay.
It's a promotion opportunity. The reason the top agents are so incredible is not that they do things different than the average agent once they get a listing and they go to the closing. The reason they're amazing is they sell all the things that they do to the seller. They say, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to stage your home. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to do a CMA on your property and tell you the exact value. I'm going to do a net sheet on your home and show you how much you're going to walk out of closing with no surprises. That what they do, most agents are shy about talking about any of that stuff. They don't talk about what they're actually going to do. They say, I'm going to put it on the MLS and we're going to syndicate it out to the whole world and let everybody know. Well, everybody does that now. They've been doing that for 10, 15, almost 20 years now. So it's not new. The difference is they just package it different. They just say, hey, this is something incredible that I'm doing. Because the average seller sells a home how often? 3 homes in their lifetime, 5 homes maybe. I mean, they don't do this every day. We do, so we think it's old and rote and doesn't matter. And the seller doesn't know that. So you come up and you present it as, this is amazing what we do to get this home from A to Z. Okay. And again, this is why you're going to be able to charge the premium, because of your presentation.
And the other thing that I mentioned is the online bid off, where everybody sees everybody's bids. I mean, it's got to be reasonable. You don't want one bid here and one bid here and do that. But if you got a cluster, then why not have a 20-minute bid off, and not a bid off that, oh, the auction's over, let's sit down and go over it, and then all of a sudden I get cold feet. No. The bid off consists of, I have their offer, they see what's online and go, wait a minute, honey, we need to go up in the price if we're going to get this. Then they say that, and I send them a counter. They sign the counter, and then if the seller wants it, he signs the offer and the counter, and it's done. It's not tomorrow. It's not after we run down the auction. It's like that. That's what I was saying. That EXP outfit that I was, looking at. They do it on a whatever, and then a day or two later, they would do the paperwork. No. We do the paperwork online with DocuSign right then and there, and you've got an offer with a counter that is absolute gold.
I love it. I was doing that back in 98, and then again when the hot market was in our area in 2003, where I would have multiple offers is not new, and I would be bidding 5, 7, 9 buyers against one another. It's just I didn't have it up on a screen with a number showing. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. I think it's great. I love how you've labeled it, and you've turned it into a promotional piece, right? Just like we were talking about. And you need to have that. Anytime you can relabel something to be more clear, to create a niche position, it's genius. Okay.
Yeah, well, I've got, certified pre-owned home. I've got a nail the sale. I've got a nail the sale. Yeah. No double agents.
Yeah, because I haven't heard those terms before. That's good. Keep going.
Let's see, no double agents, and then the online home buyer bid off.
I like the home buyer bid off. Yep, that's awesome. That's great. And because then anytime you can create curiosity, it works too. You say, well, what is that online bid off thing? And you go the extra distance. Okay, which is, and by the way, you have to be factual on all this. Make sure you collect your statistics first. But once you get your stats, you can say things like, this generated 13% more than the original offer wanted to present, my online bid off, right?
And wonderful.
Okay. That's why these one stories at a time are really powerful, right? You have another story. My online bid off in this situation created a 14% rise or a 3% rise, or brought them up from 7% under to full price, right? Depending on what kind of market you're in. Those are going to be the headlines in your videos of explaining. And by the way, worst case, you could even explain the story yourself in those things. Say, well, here's what happened. You're kind of giving a case study. Here's what happened in this situation, and here's what happened next. And you can do it that way. The most powerful thing, though, is to have it come from the voice and the face of the party, the actual person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So, lot to think about here, Terry. As far as, again, we're coming back around to your original question. How do you get them to accept that you're not there? Number one best way is you work your sphere. They already know you. They already know, like, and trust you. That's why I brought it up at the beginning. I'm just saying for anybody else listening to this and thinking about that. Number two then is proof. You got to create the know, like, and trust you through proof. That's why video is super powerful, Terry. If you can get yourself on video talking, telling the stories, or being part of the discussion of the story, being part of the people telling their story, or standing there, man in the street if you need to, whatever, to get your face on the video. You could do it side by side on your Zoom call, right? You're there, they're there, you're asking the questions, they're answering. Boom, you can zoom in and out of them and you, but they're seeing Terry talk and show that he's making this all work. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you think it's a bad idea to make for the first one. I want to make a movie, and I will save you half of the commission if you'll work along with me and help me document
I think that's
so that other people know what you're going to know.
I'd give them all the commission.
Okay.
Which sounds crazy after what I've been saying, right? But you're doing this for a specific purpose. You're creating a track record, a documented track record.
My movie.
Walking through this thing. And if you can afford it, yeah, absolutely. I'll give you X off. I'll do it for half. I'll do it for, you can only have to pay me $500 at the end. I don't know, whatever, to get them in. You might want to have a little skin in the game where they throw something that they pay you just to show that, they know that they've hired you, and you may have to show proof there somewhere.
What do you think of the idea of actually, from deal to deal, charging a premium, for example? And I realize we can't discuss commissions, but let's just say, a wild thing of 3.5% instead of 2.5%, because I got to pay 2% minimum to the buyer agent.
Let's not talk percentages. Let's just talk theories. So if you're talking about a higher, increasing your buyer agent compensation, is that what you were saying? What do you offer the buyer?
No, actually, I mean, this sounds terrible, but I was saying, because of my expertise, you can't get me for 2.5%. I cost 3.5%.
Well, I always think that's
so 5.5% total.
Commissions are completely negotiable, Terry. You can charge anything you want. My very first listing, I charged an amazing amount because I didn't know that wasn't supposed to be done. I just did it, and they paid it. I mean, so. And if you talk to people all over the country, their idea of the traditional average is actually all over the damn place. So, yeah, you absolutely charge whatever you feel is comfortable. And as far as you collecting or paying out certain percentages, keeping more or paying more, that's completely up to you. I've seen people do it both ways. I have no problem with it at all. The key is you got to show
the take on it is the real money. The real money is not what you pay me. The real money is how much more can I get for you than the average agent who's scared to death of probate, who doesn't know a thing about probate, but they're going to give it a try anyway. And I'm, with somebody as a test bunny, and you wouldn't be a test bunny with me because I'm already a certified probate expert.
And that's why you want to have those examples. Either individual examples of where you've achieved higher than the asking price or higher than the offer price or whatever.
Higher than the appraised price.
That would be another fantastic way to promote or advertise what you're doing. The other thing is, if you find, this is old school, you go and you look at what the typical or the average listing, sells to list to price ratio is, and days on the market are in your MLS. Compared to yourself, and hopefully you're better, and then you show that differential. I use that all the time when I was listing. It would change every year, but my variation between me and the average agent was everywhere from a point better on sell to list price ratio to some years it was high as 4 and 5% better. And so when I said to people, hey, they're like, well, why do you charge 1, 2, 3% more than everybody else? Well, check this out. That's why you're going to get it more. Plus, you get me. You always say stuff like that. Plus, you get me. It's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be smooth.
Well, We're going to make this thing work. You just burst my packaging. You really have. Because I'm a little bit reticent about doing that kind of stuff. But this has been just pure gold.
I'm glad to hear it, Terry. You're pure gold. I always love talking to you. You're a smart guy. You need to go ahead and run with this idea and take it all the way to the finish line. You've already been thinking a lot on the back end. Just keep putting in place. And remember, that's what I was talking about at the very beginning for everybody. When you get a niche, your brain starts to think down that niche, and you start to come up with more and more ideas and more ways of making that niche work. That's the beauty of being in a niche and not being scattered all over the place. So Terry's coming up with more and more ideas of how to build his probate business by going more and more down the road in the track of the ideas. He's asking me, he's probably asking other people. You all, by the way, could pitch in at any time, unmute yourself and throw in. Please do if you've got some ideas on this. Anyway, that's the power of the niche, okay? And that's something else you can say when you're talking to people. Look, I don't sell like all these other agents who get distracted and do all this other stuff. I don't sell beach homes, and I don't sell, to first-time buyers, whatever. I focus on this niche of these probate transactions. I am an expert at it. Okay.
We know something
I just thought of another idea on how you can do this. Get yourself an attorney, a probate attorney in that area, and do a joint webinar with them where you're talking about probate and just how probates work. Okay. Yeah. What that does is you've got an expert and you do a Zoom side by side. You've got the expert in the probate law. It elevates you to an expert in the probate law by being on the same stage as them.
The other thought that occurred to me is I'm really, particularly if I use an appraisal rather than a CMA, and I like that. It's easier for me to say, well, here's the appraisal and here's what we got, because the appraiser is going to come in low. You know damn well that they don't come in higher than they think that it'll sell for. So it's always going to be that differential between the appraisal, upfront appraisal, and the sale. And I'm really not limited to South Orange County. I'm really not. I'm limited to California, and pretty quick, I'm not going to be limited to California because I find out that I can use my California license here in Arizona. So I need to get smart about probate in Arizona, and then I want to transport people that have got $1 million, $2 million, $3 million equity, come on up to the high desert, 4,400 square feet, and it's a beautiful place to live. And for $500,000, you can replace your $1.2 million house. Different
market, different niche. So Terry, keep yourself focused on one niche. You're only one person. So I want to identify that, because that's the problem with someone who's got a creative mind, is we'll start thinking about 17 different ways to do the business and we never do any. So make sure you narrow that niche, commit to it. Say, for instance, commit to doing your probate niche all the way through 2023, the whole year. You just commit yourself to focusing on that. And 1 year, you're going to power through it and see what happens with it.
If I get a reasonable income, can I join your outfit?
Say again? I didn't hear you, Terry. Go ahead.
If I get some reasonable stuff going, can I join under you?
Of course, you always can do that. Terry,
I don't know how I'd handle the dual agency thing.
Yeah, let's talk about that another day. Right now, let's keep staying focused on this this idea. I think it's a great idea, although I am running out of time. Let's do this. I noticed that there were some chat questions. Somebody asked, how you're doing your bid off. So could you describe the bid off a little bit more?
Yes, I've got to redo it as soon as I put some deals in escrow. Right now, frankly, I'm using Zoom with, you can send messages that are private on Zoom. So it's Zoom plus it's really, you can Zoom part of your screen. So I got some real simple software done that shows the stuff on the screen. Then I have a Zoom focused on it. And then the bids are Zoom messages that I receive and I put in the number. So that's how I display it. Now, as I get this thing up, I've got a couple 100,000 in the kit. I'm going to have some truly dedicated software created for me. But right now, this works. And the answer to the question is that I just display everything. If somebody comes to me, and there's a few of them that do this, you can't disclose our offer. Hey, look, if you don't want to make an offer, don't make an offer. But if you do make an offer, it will be disclosed, and because there's a bid off at the end. And if you don't want to participate, don't put any offer, because agents want to keep their stuff secret. And I'll just refuse it, and I'll get permission from the seller. We don't want anybody who refuses to have their offer disclosed, because we want the last 15 minutes to be the most powerful 15 minutes of the entire selling process, where somebody goes up 5,000, 10,000, 25,000, 50,000 to get the darn thing, and it gets locked down with a DocuSign counteroffer right then and there.
Yeah, I love the idea of using the counter offer to lock it down. Just make sure, everybody, if you do this idea, you don't get into multiple contracts. You don't agree to sell it to multiple people. Be very careful as
No,
we
I
move
know.
this process along.
No, I know. And it's all, it was just like we were doing it in person. There's paperwork for each person. It's not some sort of a combo. The only combo part is everybody's seeing it, but then it's individual phone calls and DocuSign for each
I love it.
person.
Yeah, like I said,
By
I
the
used
way,
to do that personally when I would go out in the market. It's just I wasn't doing it through the internet. Let me throw one other thing out, and that is be sure to run these ideas past your broker and or your lawyer in your state, because we don't know what state you're in when you're listening to us
yeah,
talk about these ideas.
I'm the
And for all
broker.
we know,
And
we could be completely getting it wrong. Be sure
yeah,
to check this out with your broker and your lawyer. We're just spitballing ideas today.
yeah, in my case, I am the broker, but I'm totally willing to go to an attorney and say, if something comes up. By the way, there's a question here.
Mm-hmm.
Will the title assessor inspector work on contingency?
So basically, could you get those people to do their work and get paid later? I guess.
No.
Let me answer.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Real
I'm just
quick,
going to
or ask a better question, Terry. Who pays for the pre-inspection, pre-title work, and pre-appraisal? Who pays?
Okay. The pre-inspection is the seller because he would do an inspection. We're just doing a different
Maybe this is
time.
helping to clarify.
Okay, so the seller gets his own, and the way I present it to him is, you don't want to get a deal, take it off the market, and then have the buyer do an inspection and then blow you out after your other buyers have gone away. So we don't allow it to go off the market until the buyer has signed hard on the inspection. So that's the certified pre-owned home inspection. Now, I truly have not done a
Pre-appraisal,
appraisal up front.
same thing.
But I mean, what do they care? They get paid to do an appraisal. Seriously. And I will start out paying for that, and then I'll move it.
No. Have the seller pay for it.
Okay. So the inspection and the appraisal.
Yep.
And of course, if there's any repairs and staging, I already, Curbio is going to be handling that primarily.
If there's any, and also if there's any repairs required, you have the seller fix it right away, or disclose that it hasn't been done. You got
and I can do that, and I can do it with a phone call. And Curbio's a little pricey, but it's like, they're licensed. Let's do it. I'm going to get you a premium price for this. Don't worry about the small stuff.
Curbio comes in and does repairs, updates, modifications, remodels for homeowners, and then puts a lien against the property to get paid, right?
Yes, and they also do cleanouts, by the way.
Yeah,
and they'll even do lawn work.
Right.
Unfortunately, Curbio in Arizona is only up in Phoenix. It's not down where I'm at, south of Tucson.
Right.
But in South Orange, all of Orange County, it's there. And like I say, there's a little expensive, but the idea I got to sell is I charge more because I'm worth more. Curbio is not the cheapest way to get things done, but it's an efficient way, and the people are licensed, and you don't have to pay for it until your house pays for it.
That's great. Let's bring that together by just saying that these pre-inspections, the pre-appraisals, the pre-title work, which you typically can get for free, that is all paid for by the seller. Not
by the way, you're right on that, because the title is going to normally be paid by the seller anyway.
So that depends on the state, Terry. Depends on the state. In our states,
okay, California, the seller's going to pay for title policy.
But in our state, correct, the seller, at least Colorado is where I'm at, and you're California, Arizona, it sounds like it's the same. The seller pays for that base policy. The buyer pays for the mortgagee policy. But moving on, here's the point. Seller's going to pay. Let me add this one thing, and that is you can go out to these service providers, these appraisers, title companies, inspectors in our example, and ask them to do it for a discount because they're getting volume. So volume discount. You're going to be handling them a lot of appraisals or a lot of inspections, or at least on a consistent, frequent basis, and maybe they'll knock a couple percentage points off of their price for that. That's optional, but that's another idea of why you can sell the seller on it. And then we're running out of time, but there's all kinds of reasons that this is a huge benefit to the seller. And the big one is no surprises. You know exactly what you're getting into. You know what the inspection's going to be. You can go ahead and get those items worked on. That way the buyer's not going to throw some crazy thing at you never heard about or try to crash your deal at the last minute. You're able to do full disclosure to your seller, excuse me, your buyer about everything you know about the property. That reduces your liability on the sale of this home. You got this appraiser coming in, which they're going to need for their loan anyway. Let's go ahead and get that done. It's a huge advantage to the seller to position their home, especially as we go into a softer market. I know these things sound foreign because we've been going so fast for the last 2 years, but in a regular, normal, or soft market, these things are huge and they're great positioners for how to stand ahead of all of your competition. And it's the reason you charge a premium, because you think differently, you work differently, and you get better results. Remember, in the end, they want to see the better results part. So always start with the results that you got, then explain why you're able to get that, and then go back to the results and say, hey, is this what you want? Great, hire me, let's get going.
I love it. By the way, I noticed that Krista Mayshore, I watched her 3-day thing, and she allows people to back out just for no reason at all. And I don't think that's necessary. I think that that's really kind of a negative thing. Like, maybe you're not going to love me. No, you're going to love me. You don't need to be able to get out of this.
So I used to do it all the time too. Yeah, it's an old idea, by the way. It's an old marketing idea, the easy exit listing agreement. That came from Craig Proctor. I think I saw it from first, but it was probably out there before that. That was 20 years ago or more. I used to do that a lot to list property. And the reason you do the easy exit listing is not for them to walk out. The reason for the easy exit listing is to allow them to feel comfortable walking in. Okay, so you say, hey, if you're not happy with my services at any time, if you think I'm blowing smoke, but you still want to hire me, no problem. Just here's my agreement. It's an easy exit listing agreement. If any time through the agreement you're not happy with my services, you can send me a letter, and within 24 hours, our listing is over. All you have to do is pay me a fee of blank. Okay, and I call it the easy exit termination fee of X. And that fee, by the way, basically covers my hard cost. And that was it. Then we part ways and go the other way. In my career, I probably had, I never counted it up, but I guess maybe 2, 3, 4 people that ever executed it. I mean, I sold 113 homes in 1 year. If 2 people walk out, okay, it sucks, but I'm going to be okay. I had dozens and dozens of people signing because they felt more comfortable that they had an exit at the back. Okay, I even used it on buyer agency agreements. Easy exit buyer agency agreement. We also had love it or leave it guarantee. If you buy a house and you decide you don't like it, if you decide that within the first 6 months, call me up. I will list that thing for free. I will not take a commission on my side. We'll sell that thing into the open market and get you out of that deal and into something else. What have I done? I've made the buyer feel more comfortable about hiring me and about making an offer on this property. And if they happen to have made a mistake, then we'll get rid of that property and sell it. And then they'll hire me to get the next one. So it's all okay. By the way, no one ever executed that one, ever. But it just made people feel comfortable. You're just trying to, how can I make people feel comfortable with moving along? It's what I told you before. How can I help people? How can I promote things that would have normally happened anyway? Can a buyer get out of a buyer agency? In about 2 seconds. All I did was turn it around into a positive instead of a negative. Could a seller break a listing agreement? Might be a little harder, but yeah, if they hire an attorney, they'll blow me out of the water. I'm not going to fight it in court. So that's why I just turned the negative into a positive. And that's why you said Krista Mayshore did that. Krista is phenomenal. She's a super smart marketer, and she did the same thing. She just turned the negative into a positive. Does that help?
Yes. I mean, this whole thing has been just a total enlightenment, because I've been, kind of winding down from doing what I'm doing and saying, holy smokes, I have got to get the wheels going the other way. And this has been just a godsend, really.
I love it. Well, Terry, you're always a pleasure to talk to. I've always enjoyed chatting with you over the years. And I'm so glad you showed up today. Thank you for opening up this idea for us. I hope everybody gained something out of this today. We're going to wrap it up because we've gone over our time. Thank you again for everybody for sticking in there. Hopefully you got some value. Terry, you got to come back and you got to share with us how
I will
things
come
go,
back.
right? Tell us what's happening.
Guaranteed.
Moving along. All right, cool.
Guaranteed.
I love it.
Thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.
You betcha, Terry. All right, everybody, we're going to go in. We've recorded this call. It's going to be out on Mastermind Agent Network on YouTube if you want to check it out there. And I hope you come back and join us again next week. We do this every week, same time, same place. Be sure to bring your ideas. As you saw, we'll talk about repeating referrals, which is our primary. But if we don't have that, we'll open it up to anything that you would like to chat about. All right, y'all have a great day today. Take care. Bye now.